The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I am Doug Vincent, joined by Addie Rich. And hi there. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. I'm a polio survivor, and my co-host is...
somebody with cerebral palsy.
There you have it. I knew it. So, did you have a good week?
What gave it away?
What gave it away? Oh, the 400th times you told me before? Part of it? Yeah.
Possibly.
But for our new listeners, yes, EP, yeah. I'm a polio survivor. And how was your wonderful week?
Week was good. Felt productive.
Yeah.
I guess I already have short-term memory loss because I had a cold all week. And, but I feel better. I feel back to myself. So I've apparently already forgotten the cold.
Well, yeah, last week you didn't have... were you sick? That's
yes.
right. That's right. You had to run out to the drugstore.
Voice, which people will hear later. But
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
you sound good.
Made it through. Worked.
Excellent.
Didn't get too much sleep, but still ticking.
Very nice. Very
How
nice.
How about you?
Yeah, good week. Enjoyed the Super Bowl. It's mixed emotion. You want your team to be in there, but when they are, it's just like, it is so stressful. So it's nice.
Okay, who is your team?
Well, I'm a Raider fan, so we hate the Patriots. So by default, it was, I don't know what we would have done if the Broncos got in there. Maybe would have boycotted the whole thing.
Right? I know. Yeah. I spent part of the evening last night yelling at the TV as well.
Is Patriots your team?
Well, a family member used to work for the Pats, and so I feel a lot of loyalty.
Gotcha.
I didn't care either way, but I am the girl that screams like "Go, go, 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 go!" as if I'm helping them.
Yeah,
so
good.
That's what I did.
That makes it fun. Alrighty, yeah. So congratulations,
did you eat good food?
Seahawks. Yeah, we did kind of a Italian theme. So
okay,
so I did lasagna and pizza and all those things, cheesecake, nice. And I brought spumoni.
Oh, nice!
Yeah.
I ate chicken wings in celebration and solidarity.
Good.
Yeah,
excellent. So, and then this week is kind of like doctor's appointments week, where I'm trying to get trying to get caught up on some things. But I went to the cardiologist about 3-4 years ago. My primary cardiologist just said, "You want a second opinion?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what the heck?" And so he referred me to somebody. So I've been going to them periodically, but went with them today. And really the reason I bring it up is I had a great visit. She just kind of brought me up to speed on so many things that my doctor doesn't. He's, and I've asked him point blank about some of these things because the condition I have is a cardiomyopathy, and it's, the way he told me, of course he told me the name, but then he says, you hear like in the news where an 18-year-old basketball player, at the peak of his health, he just drops dead on the court. I'm like, yeah. He said, that's what you have.
Oh, shit.
I know, isn't that great?
You're like, wow, your bedside manner is a 10 out of 10, buddy.
But, I know, and I think most people probably would run from a guy like that. But I liked his straightforwardness and all that.
Right.
So, but,
you don't like people who mince words, so here we go.
So over the years now, I've been going to him for like 14 years, and been aware of this condition. So in the back of my mind is like, I could go at any moment, but she said no. She said by the time, you've had it this long in your age and all that, you've kind of plateaued and it, everything's looking good, and I don't have any of the other circumstances that they're in symptoms they're always looking for. They're always asking about shortness of breath and chest pain and all those things. I rarely have those things. But this whole thing started with, I had a new doctor and he was going through all the vitals and just catching up with my history and all that. So as he's checking my heart, he says, there's your murmur. And he starts to go on. I said, back up. Murmur. He said, nobody ever told you have a murmur? I'm like, no. Yeah. So she said today, she's listening. She said, and I don't hear your murmur. So I don't know exactly what that means, but
Very interesting.
yes.
But I mean, it's a good chance for us to tell people to check your ticker
Mm-hmm.
because your ticker runs the whole rest of the machine. So
You
take
know,
care of your heart.
yes, and I couldn't, back you up on that anymore. I have had myself easily 5 or 6 things that I've figured out because I went in for another, something, and and I just asked them a question in passing that I may or may not have asked, but I asked and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I know what that is. That's this, and it."
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just thinking it's a nuisance and it's something fairly
Yeah, they're
serious.
like, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the same thing with this. I went into another doctor. I had a rash of doctors that were retiring at the same time. But yeah, so I go into this doctor.
No comment. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, let's just give you an EKG just for fun, kind of thing. And he gives it to me. He says, there's some stuff in there I don't like, and he sent me to the ER, and that's where I spent 2 or 3 days while they did all these tests and figured out what I have. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So yeah,
We know
that
Doug
was
and I
good
are
news.
allergic to doctors. I think I'm more allergic to doctors than Doug is, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So your ticker's good for now.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you to Augustine Yiga, who was
Yes.
on last week with Toro Wu.
Yeah, we still haven't quite figured out how to do that.
Yeah, how to say that exactly. Yeah. But that's kind of the way it's spelled, for us speakers. But I wanted to tell you, and I think I told you last week, I'm terrible at predicting, which episode might do well or may not, And so sure enough, I didn't know if it would, really resonate with our listeners. It's the second highest first week downloads in the last 10 weeks. Pretty
That's
impressed.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's
right?
awesome.
And still going.
That-
Still going.
And hey, it might be because they all want to hear about what Doug sounded like when he decided
That
to
could
do
be
it
it.
anyway.
That could be it.
That's the tease. No, it's really about the story probably, but you get a bonus. You get a bonus to see the stubbornness of Doug.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened yet, please go do it.
Check it out. Where's Doug and who's this new co-host?
What is that noise?
Yeah. What is that noise? What is that wheezing sound? Oh, goodness sakes. All right. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And now, maybe you're hip to this, but there's something new that I've kind of learned. It's come on my radar. There's ratings.
Okay.
I guess that's where
There's
you
ratings?
I think that's where you hit the, hopefully 5 stars.
Oh, where is that?
It's on most of the platforms where you
Okay,
listen.
so rated as a good episode?
Yeah,
okay,
or-
do that too. I didn't know.
Yeah. I don't know if you're
I just
supposed
want
to
you to listen.
do a comment, but yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know. I'll double check and see. But yeah, that's the other thing. And I've had some people like that market to us and say, "Hey, we can help you grow your audience, and I can deliver X amount of ratings in the next week with X amount of money."
Okay, well,
Like-
no thank you. Please, just do it for us, people. We didn't
Yeah.
even know we could be rated, but press
Yeah.
the extra button, I guess.
Give us a little extra love. All right. Well, today we have got a Paralympic. Well, I don't know. Is that exclusive to the Olympics? I guess it
No,
would be
because remember he was on
Paralympics.
he's Paralympics.
Oh, okay. He's been to
Because
the
he's
Olympics?
aiming for the Paralympics in LA, remember?
Yes. I remember that part, but I just started as I was saying this. Can you call him a Paralympic if he's never been to the Olympics? Not the able-bodied.
Paralympian.
Oh man, this is going south real quick.
What
There
are
you
we
are.
saying?
Huh?
He is a Paralympian.
Okay.
He's already been to the Olympics as a young person.
Okay.
And he's going back before he retires.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify. All right, I think we got that.
He's been a Paralympian.
I think we cleared up the muddy water. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Miss Addie.
That took a second.
So he's coming up this week, and we will hear from him. And he's from the UK, another international guest.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm having fun with this.
Yes.
We're going all over the world.
Yes, we are. So that's coming up right after this word from Agyar Professional Training.
At Agyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. UGYAR is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with UGYAR professional training and witness the growth of your business.
From the UGYAR Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
And we appreciate you listening. All right, time to take you on a little adventure. This week, we're going to go across the pond, as they say, go to the United Kingdom to talk to today's guest. He is a Paralympic rugby player and champion, and he is the author of a blog called Blue Badge Style Sports Blog. So let's meet him now. Let him give you a self-introduction before we start our conversation.
So I'm Myles. I'm from the UK, from the north, about like an hour from Manchester. I'm 33, and I have something called Arthrogryposis, which is quite a mouthful, really. But it's essentially like contractures of the joints. So my joints are like dead bent. And then obviously my voice is affected. So my trachea is dead narrow.
And you're not talking about the accent, right?
It's not.
Sorry, that was too low-hanging fruit.
Bad low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
Doug gets a poo point for that one.
Yeah. We'll get that out of the way. Well, welcome, Myles. So it's kind of, to me, it seems a little ironic if you've got a condition that affects your joints and then you've become this athlete, right? So maybe start by briefly kind of telling us, about some of your accomplishments, I guess.
Well, so I'm an athlete. I started within wheelchair tennis, and at one stage I was 21st in the world boys singles, so under 18s. And then when I was like 15, 16, I discovered wheelchair rugby, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the people and with the sport as well. I sort of went into the elite side of it. So by 18, I'd made my Great Britain debut. And then at 19, I competed at London 2012 for Great Britain.
Amazing.
And since then, I've gone on to win European gold medal, world gold as well. So I've had a fairly decent career this far.
Fairly decent, it's just if my career read like that, Myles, I don't know. So I have a question though about all of that. So doing sports and things with it being joint issues, do you have to be super careful because your body's already kind of laying out a different path, right? And then you're like, hey, let me beat it up with rugby. That sounds good.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not far more than I really am. Okay? But I look myself a bit different, don't I? So I've accepted that, that's fine. But in reality, like, I'm at no more risk than the next person. So, like, I do have joint issues in the sense of I can't stretch as far, and I can't maybe lift my arms above my head. Yeah. But other than that, I'm not in any pain, and my disability isn't going to get worse. So it's quite a boring disability.
Boring. boring. I don't think anything about you is boring, Myles. I cheated because I got to interview Myles before this, so I know I have an insight. Doug doesn't know yet, but I know.
Yeah, I'm learning.
He's a liar when it comes to. He's a regular liar with a straight face.
Oh, okay, good to know. So I'm curious too. At a young age, you get this opportunity to kind of see the world.
Listen, being an athlete is by far the best career you can have.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a special thing. And to represent your country as well obviously gives you more opportunities. So, I've played against the world's top teams at like 18, 19, and you can't really describe or put into words how amazing it is. And at the time, I didn't really appreciate that either. It's only as like I've got a bit older and I've, done the blogging, I've lived my life away from sport a little bit, that I've gone, oh wow, that is like amazing. And how fortunate I was, I worked hard for it, yes, but actually I did get these amazing opportunities, and how special is that?
Yeah. Well, obviously you have a talent, but that's not enough. You know how it is. You have to put the work in to really bring that talent to its highest ability. And I'm curious if you were aware too, as you were going through all those stages, because there are countless millions of kids around the globe, who have dreams of being some elite athlete, and they are very good at their local level, and then they're good enough to maybe go on to a regional level, and some go on, but at some point, a lot of times people finally figure out, okay, I was great at home, I was great regional, but now I'm really finding some good people. But as you're going through this, it's all new to you. As you're going through this, you're really starting to find out in your own mind, I keep moving forward. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think, again, you don't really see it until you're a bit older, and you can look back at the progression and sort of the peak and where you are and where you plateau as well, because young athletes do plateau. They do kind of just, no matter how good you are and how good you can become, at some stage, especially in that early sort of development, you are going to stall. So I think when I sort of really realised that I could do something more within wheelchair rugby was probably that first sort of call up to the national team. So I played my debut against Finland in 2011, and I think it was at that point, that's when I realised, because I was playing against some of the best players in the world, but you don't see it. So my biggest bit of advice to younger athletes is to enjoy the moment. Exactly. When you stop and you maybe take a look at your surroundings, that's when sometimes the problems occur. So embrace the moment. Enjoy every second of that journey, no matter where you are on it. And just go through it, take opportunities.
Yeah. I can imagine where you are now, looking back a bit. I mean, you still are going, but you look back and those are the things you really remember, are those parts of the journey. Not necessarily the wins, but I imagine the journey are some things that are really dear to you.
Yeah, so I think obviously making your Paralympic debut, that's huge. And we played in the United States in our first game at London 2012. And I think when I look back, the moment that really stands out wasn't playing in that first match. It was being in the tunnel and hearing the crowd roaring for GB, I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah.
And you know, it's two sides. There's a bit of smack talk and all the rest of it in the tunnel. And I think that's such a special time for me personally. But also, my dad says his sort of biggest memory was probably of that same moment when the announcer announced, Great Britain onto the court. And he said, it sort of brought a tear to his eye as well, because he was part of that journey and he sort of saw it from day one. So it's not just my journey we're talking about, it's everyone's story.
Yeah, your family, your whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be special.
I
Sorry,
mean,
I've got a glass of wine whilst I'm drinking this.
I mean, and how cool that it was your own country, right? I mean, you're the youngest player. You're in your home country. Like you say, it is. Doug and I talk about that a lot. Like, well, not only for people with disabilities, but people in general. It takes parents and friends and anybody who does like gymnastics or cheerleading or any of that. They're giving up all that time to get you where you need to go. They're giving up time for practice, like all these things. So when you hit the spot and it is like this giant spot, I can imagine like just losing it, because it is, it's that moment in a real tangible way.
Yeah, definitely. And you like I said earlier, can't really put that into words other than kind of say thank you to those people. Thank you to my parents and even people like my little brother Barnaby, who might have missed out on stuff because I've been away with sport and I've needed drive into this sports hall or drive into this training session and traveling the world as well. So you have to sort of reach out and go and acknowledge sacrifices those people have made for that journey.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the system and the organizations and the support that the disabled community gets in Great Britain? I mean, how did you enter into this? Was there a local organization that had a team? And tell us about that.
So I first began playing for the local team, who were based maybe like half an hour away, called West Coast Wheelchair Rugby. At the time, in sort of the country, there was only 8 or 9 teams. So it was really small. And we didn't, sport itself in the UK wasn't like it is in the States. You guys have got like loads of teams, like hundreds. And but where we are, we didn't have that in the same way. So I went along to West Coast, and it's like any club setting. So you play in a national league and you compete at national tournaments and you travel the country essentially, and that's how you get started for Great Britain. And as an organisation, Great Britain Wheelchair Rugby have been fantastic because they've not just developed West Coast, but they've continued to grow as an organisation. So now there's like 30 or more teams in the UK. And you've got to bear in mind, we're such a small country as well. So for us, that's huge. It's a massive growth. And they develop players from grassroots upwards. So we have like what we call like a talent team, which is like Great Britain reserves. And then from the reserve team, you go up to a league. So at every level, you are being supported. You go as far as you want.
A lot of things that we run into here is transportation, especially with the disabled community. Maybe some of them, aren't able to transport themselves. There's a cost associated with it. There's a cost associated with the equipment. The equipment can be very expensive. A chair can be $300, $400, or $1,000 for a sports chair, things like that. So are there organizations that help out with that?
There's loads.
Yeah.
So depending on how old you are, there's different charities for different parts of your sort of demographic, I suppose. And I think it might be quite similar to where you are.
Yeah.
There's children's charities, there's adults charities. If you've got spinal injury, for example, you've got the Spinal Injuries Association. I've got a congenital disability, so I was born with my disability, so my support has come from friends and family and West Coast itself. So West Coast has like different sponsors and they've been fantastic in supporting my career as an athlete. But even if I hadn't have wanted or been determined to have gone to that sort of top level of the sport, they support us at like grassroots as well. So we have a lot of recreational players that might need a chair.
Yeah.
And if they come for like a certain period of time, our club supports them as well. So everyone in this country is within wheelchair rugby, is very friendly and everyone supports each other in one way or another.
Yeah. In elite sports, do they help out some of the big teams? Do like, say, like a Manchester or something like that? Do they sponsor similar type sports groups that are disabled?
So I don't know how much you know about wheelchair rugby, but wheelchair rugby is very different to like anything else in sort of sport itself. So we don't get any support from like football teams or soccer as it's known over there, simply because they're doing their own thing with disability soccer, for example. And we have, in this country, we have rugby union and rugby league in terms of able-bodied sports. And they don't really align with wheelchair rugby. So it's different things, but we get lots of businesses that come forward and sponsor teams and want to be involved in it that way. See, we do get rugby union teams as well. So I actually help coach my local wheelchair rugby team, which is affiliated with the able-bodied team. Yeah. But that's sort of them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it. It's similar but different. Yeah, I get you because and there's a little bit of that. I can't say there's a lot of it here, but there are some like the Major League Baseball and NFL teams that sponsor wheelchair basketball and softball teams and things like that. So they have their own.
So I know in Europe that basketball is huge in Europe, and apart from us, some odd reason, I've got no idea why, but basketball is huge on the continent, and they do sponsor the wheelchair basketball teams. So I know, like in Spain, for example, you might have like Real Madrid. They have a basketball team that will sponsor the wheelchair basketball team, and so there's more closeness in those organisations.
What's makes it a little easier, I would say, with basketball is the cost is so much less. I mean, if you can afford a ball, and you can find a court in a local park or whatever, you can play the sport, but if it's baseball or football, there's a lot of, I guess you could play football without all the pads and all that, but once it gets, to be organized, there's a lot more cost involved.
Right? Like you move up in the need and therefore the cost goes up.
Yeah.
Myles, I'm going to back you up because I'm super curious. When you're little, obviously your disability is congenital. And so you're different from the get, much like me. Were you the one that was like, oh, I want to play sports? Or your family was like, hey, you want to play sports? Let's do this. Like, how does it kind of work? Because I feel like our minds aren't limited. Our bodies are different, right?
Yeah. So actually, my family are not sporty at all. Like my parents are photographers. My brother is a painter. So I do not come from a sporty background at all. However, both my grandfathers were really sporty. And then my sort of wider family is quite sporty. So I think that took inspiration from them, which is quite odd, really. And I think I always wanted to play football. Always. Because that's just sport over here. Everyone plays football. And when I sort of got to the point, because it took me a while, bear in mind, I sort of was a bit delusional as a child. And I was determined I was going to be a professional football player. I was going to play at, Liverpool. That was my dream.
Yes.
But when it got to the point where I sort of went, oh, actually, that's a bit odd. Why would I physically can't do that. I said to my parents, well, let's look at different sports. Let's go and try different things. So I started because I could walk a bit better back then. I started by playing disability football. And then got to the point where I went, I don't want to walk anymore. This is actually a lot of effort for me. And then I discovered wheelchair tennis. And then obviously from wheelchair tennis, I went from wheelchair rugby. Everyone went to wheelchair rugby. And my parents were just let's do it. My parents were always really accommodating, even though they had no interest in sport whatsoever.
So they saw you had a dream and just wanted to support that.
That's it. I was so fortunate.
Well, and I like that. You're a bit delusional. That's what dreams are.
Is the way to live.
Yeah, that's the way dreams are meant to be. They're just they don't make sense. That's why they're dreams. There's a lot of mundane things that make sense, but who cares about that? Your dreams are what drive you, right? And you don't know why. You don't know why. And who needs to know why?
I think that the big thing was I just wanted to be involved in sport. That was it.
Yeah.
And team sport, especially. I think I was born team sport.
And it's like Addie reads my mind sometimes. She'll make that turn just when I want to make that turn. And I just to get away from sports maybe just a little bit, I'm just curious, since we have you on and you're from Great Britain, it's just your day-to-day life, as you were growing up, obviously Great Britain has been around a while, as opposed to the United States, which is so much newer. But even in this country, you go back to the East Coast and it's obviously a lot older and probably not quite as accommodating, and they've probably had to kind of retrofit some things. But you come out here out west, everything seems to be new, and there's now regulations, building codes that make everything accessible. How was life growing up in Great Britain?
I think life was probably quite similar to being in the US, to be honest. Things weren't really accessible till 2001. And with that, there's still sort of people trying to skirt around accessibility laws. So, for example, I'm just going off topic slightly now, but every public place has to be accessible. However, if a building is over a certain age, it doesn't.
Yeah, they get grandfathered in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So a lot of places still are not accessible, actually. Yeah. So we are, like you said, quite an old country, and a lot of our buildings are older. Growing up in Great Britain was hard. I was bullied during school, throughout school, really. And I think when growing up, disability wasn't really seen as the norm. So I think that's obviously an issue in schools. Even now, really, I think kids do have a difficulty of it. But that comes down to how we raise our kids. if we look on TV, for example, a lot of the bad guys, like, I don't know, Tin Hook from Peter Pan, is an amputee, you know? And kids are constantly inundated with images of disability shown as a bad thing. And it's a scary thing.
It's presented as a bad thing still to this day?
I think so, yes. I think so. That's certainly how it's presented growing up, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember just before 2012, there was a disabled presenter over here, TV presenter online, one of the children's TV shows. And it was like the first person showing an amputation, an arm amp. And when she came on, there was such like a backlash to that, huge backlash. You had parents writing in to the BBC saying, this woman is scaring our child, you know? So you can get kind of a picture just within that of how disability is sort of presented or has been presented. And I was even, I'm 30 or coming up to 33 now, so I was before that even, So it was, I think as a disabled child, it was difficult, definitely. And I was going through lots of surgery, so I was missing school, missing social milestones. So, those things sort of add up. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
And, I was very fortunate to find sport and find an outlet.
Yeah. So are there organizations that are advocating so that you're going to move forward beyond that? So have you seen progress since 2012?
Huge progress since 2012. Huge progress. So I think London really, it was kind of like disability was televised like it hadn't ever been before. So suddenly we've gone from finding disability scary to seeing what disabled people can do and what's possible with a bit of hard work and determination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people definitely took stock of that and went, oh, okay, we can take these people seriously. Like, that's allowed.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bit of a turning point for our disabled communities.
Yeah.
So it sounds like just a little education made a big change.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I would say so. And I speak about this a lot. I sort of say, if people are willing to learn, that's all we can ask for. I think as disabled people, like, we're not asking for the world. Like, we're not saying we need you to understand this, or we need you to do this for us, or whatever. We're simply saying, just listen.
Yeah.
Just hear us out. Yeah. Because I promise you, we're fine. Like, it's going to be good. We're not that scary.
Yeah, not that scary.
Speak for yourself. I might be.
and don't fight against us, right?
Right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, that kind of leads to talking about your blog, because tell us about your blog and like what you talk about, because I think that is kind of how you and I connected, is finding that, social media. Thank you very much. But I'd love you to be able to kind of tell us about what you're doing with that. Like, what topics do you cover? What do you hope? Why did you say, okay, it's time for me to get out there and write, not just keep this in my head?
So I write a blog called The Adventures of a Guy Called Milo. And basically, it all started when I was at university. And lots of people, I was studying sports journalism at the time. So I was already sort of writing anyway. And lots of people kept telling me, you need to write some of these drunken stories down. You need to get this down on paper. Because actually, like, as a disabled person, in that environment, I had so many stories.
Yeah.
Like, so many stories. Some of them, like, my own doing, some of them, other people's doing. So that's how it sort of started. And then it sort of came with me as I've grown up. So there have been some years where I've not written at all. But it's always been there. Like, occasionally I'll log on and look at the stats, and I've seen people have been weirdly reading it for some odd reason. And then I went through this sort of situationship in 2024 with a young lady. Actually, funnily enough, American. She was American. And it didn't end particularly pleasantly. And I was muted. And I thought, I need to write. For some peculiar reason, I thought, I need to write just what I'm feeling. And so I just started writing. And from there, I kept writing. And I wrote about everything from day-to-day life with a disability, dating, sex, relationships, all of that, to like benefit cuts related to disability benefits and how the government maybe treats disabled people. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind. You know, like last year, this little blog took me to Downing Street, and I presented this box of signatures, basically a charity called Scope. We've been sort of campaigning to get the benefits cuts overturned. So, you know, if you put it in relation, it's been an amazing journey, and this blog keeps going and keep writing about my weird and wacky life.
Yeah. But also showing people you have a life, right? Like that it's not, the Myles just didn't quit sports and lay down in the middle of the road and that was it, you know? And I think that it's, you know, I think that's something that people, if people have been taught to be afraid of us until 2012, like they don't think that we have life experiences and all the things, right? Like, it's funny that you say that because my aunt and uncle were American, obviously, but my uncle worked for Citibank and they moved him to London and they lived there for like 17 years. And I went in 2000, I think, to visit and to see how inaccessible it was and stuff. But one of the things that stuck with me, and my aunt didn't mean anything by this, but like it's now, and I remember her saying, do you want to see the place that they would probably put you if you were born here because of your disability? And I was like, what? Like, to show that like that was still a thing, right? That
at
like
that time,
yes.
Addie?
Oh no, it had not at
this
that
is
time,
in
but
the
like
past then, yeah.
prior of like maybe have put you somewhere to care for you, not knowing what care you would have, not knowing what kind of life you would live, all those things. So when you say that, I understand the stereotype and the we're afraid of them.
Yeah.
As if we travel in a pack and like try to spread it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
I think the blog just explores being honest about all this. We don't really live life is different to everyone else. You know?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I might look and sound a bit odd, but I just adapted to my world. Yeah. You know, I drive, I work full time, I play sport, I do this and this. And if we can just be honest about those different lives that we do all lead, I think that's key when discussing disability.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what the other thing is because we say that a lot, that, we have the same dreams as everybody else and the same, lives, but life doesn't treat us any different either. You know what I mean? I mean, we have all the same tragedies, raise your hand if you've been divorced, it goes on and on, and wonderful things, so you can't have a divorce without a marriage. Marriage, that's a wonderful day, so we all have those things that have nothing to do with our disability. And those are the kinds of things like you were talking about, Myles, that we live just like everybody else that are no different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just so important to remember again when we do discuss disability. Like, we're all in this together, whether we stood up or sat down, Yeah. And that's key to how we view the world.
And it'd be nice if we'd get a pass. Oh, you got a disability. All right. Well, you don't have to suffer this tragedy then, but it doesn't get you out of that,
We all got a bingo card.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's it.
So you've retired from sports now.
Sort of. So I'm looking to go back into the Great Britain team at the minute. Yes. Yeah. I still play.
I figured that.
I'm sort of in trials to go back. I would like to do LA and maybe see
at 28
how old I'm after that.
Yeah,
I'll be 35. But how old I feel.
What is the kind of the age group, at the elite level for your sport? Disabled.
Well, it's probably in mid-30s.
Yeah.
I think when people start to peak. So
right,
I'm definitely at that.
Yeah, you're coming up on your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could easily go for another 10 years. However, I've got other things in my life.
Yeah.
And my writing has taken off.
And what else are you doing? I was kind of looking through the notes here, and you've been working with the land. I don't have my glasses on. Lancashire County Council. What are you doing with them?
So I work in finance. So basically, when somebody goes in the hospital, an elderly person, for example, most typically, then they come out and we sort of sort out their care. So if they go into an old person's home or they have care at home, we'll sort that and sort how that looks and liaise with different social workers as well to manage, again, how that is implemented.
Yeah. Sounds very much like what we call independent living centers here. And they kind of address all those different things. The goal is to keep somebody, whether they're, younger or more elderly, is to keep them living as independently as possible. So it sounds like that's kind of what your goal is. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it's such a important thing to keep people independent.
Absolutely.
That's another thing my blog discusses. And I think going back to disability, I think if we try and keep people independent and stop viewing disability as separate to us, because disability actually affects everyone. I've got elderly grandparents and they're arguably more physically disabled than I am now. So if we can make that connection for everyone, then that's vital.
Yeah, we all age into disability at some point, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But, Doug, I was reading your notes as well. And you look a lot younger than you actually are, if you don't mind me saying.
Who are you talking to?
You!
You, Doug.
Yeah. I mean, he's a spry fellow.
Yeah. That's I've got a filter on.
Liar. Right? We all get that. We get the sprinkle of looking younger when we have a disability. They're like, we won't make you age as fast. We took something away.
There it is.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's the perk.
Solved it.
So as we wind down here, so, through your experiences, let's say, you have any words of wisdom you'd like to, maybe tell the next generation that's coming up, and, maybe somebody like you that wasn't necessarily from a sports family, but was into sports, and, how do you follow that dream? Or are there other benefits to sports beyond just the love of the sport? Does that make sense?
I think so. Overall, so I'll answer that question or sort of question in two sort of ways. So, a disabled child, if I was to sort of look back and talk to my sort of former self, I'd go, listen, it's really not that big. All this, you're going to be fine. Like, it seems rubbish now, but life will just open up for you. Just give it time. And then, as an athlete, I'd probably just remind my former self to enjoy the moment, enjoy this bit now, and embrace every opportunity that you do get. So that's so important when you look back on your career.
I think that's one of the best answers I've ever heard to that question. Thank you. That was good. Yeah. That was good. All right. We're going to cut you loose. Where can our listeners find you if they want to read the blog, that kind of thing?
So just visit me on Instagram at Myles P. I'm sure we can sort out my link in your bios and stuff like that. And also my blog, just type to Google The Adventures of a Guy Called Milo.
Got it.
Yeah, that's how I found you. So I was like,
yeah.
Adventures of a Guy named Milo.
Michael Pearson, thank you for taking the time to join us here on Walk and Roll Live. Appreciate it very much.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to going to bed.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
I was excited to show my family just how much better of a skier I got to be. So we went up on December 30th. Then the next morning, I woke up 10 out of 10 pain. Chest, back, head. I slowly lost all feeling from my feet all the way up to my chest, that I was paralyzed, essentially. I didn't understand what was happening. All I knew is that something scary was going on.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
From the Ugyar Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Step into the stories, hear the truth unfold. Voices rising boldly, breaking every mold. Life without limits, we shatter the walls. Together we're stronger, standing tall. These are the tales of hearts unchained, of battles fought, joys reclaimed. Through open talks and journeys shared, we show the world how much we care. Life limitless.
That was awesome. I was hanging on every word. Myles, what an accomplished guy. What a great guy. What's your take?
So, I mean, I love this story. I'm a sucker for accents. Just saying.
Yeah.
So even if it wasn't a good story, I could listen to the accent. Just kidding. But so cool. Gives us something to look forward to as he works toward possibly, maybe, because he might not come out of retirement. LA, the Paralympics in LA.
Yeah. But we got somebody to follow and cheer on.
Exactly. And to nudge for tickets, right?
Shh, don't say that out loud.
Sorry. Just kidding. But yeah, super cool story. And I love all the stories that we tell of people that are like, okay, you're different. Well, what are we going to do about it? And I mean, he is talented enough in like 2 sports. He didn't even just do 1 sport. He's going to go for 2 first.
Yeah, show off.
Right, I know. Sit down somewhere.
Yeah,
but
good. I'm glad to have him on. So after, I don't know, we are what, like 5 or 6 shows ahead right now, and I cannot for the life of me remember, who we've just recorded or who we've recorded and aired yet. But I'll just say this. I was working and putting some stuff on the website, on the events page and the resources page, and more stuff to follow. There's going to be more stuff that we're getting from guests that have aired but haven't, or we've recorded but haven't aired yet. So yeah, there's always new stuff going up there. So check it out. Resources and some cool events. Check it out at walkandrolllive.com.
Yep.
Next week, we have Ty Gibson. That's with a P. Grew up in Texas, participated in the Disney College program, started his life with juvenile diabetes. We're going to hear it all next week on Walk and Roll Live. That's all I got.
That's all I got, too.
What's up with you?
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Okay. All right. Thank you for listening. And I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich from the Magyar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.